So a few years ago, I got an email from Adrian Plass, and it said, we would like you to come to Scargill House, which is in Yorkshire. It's a retreat and conference centre in Yorkshire and a community in... they said, we have a festival and we'd like you to come and sing at our festival that we have. And I looked at this and I thought, yeah, Adrian Plass is emailing me. And it was Adrian. And we went to, well, it was Bridget actually, Adrian's wife, and who had hijacked his email. And it was lovely. We went up to Scargill and I met Adrian and Bridget and, well, we all did. And we've been great friends ever since. And Scargill House is an amazing place. It's one of its kind of little taglines is it's a safe space to say dangerous things. And we need that, don't we? We need to be able to say dangerous things. We need to be able to pour out, you know, the stuff that goes on in us that isn't very Christian. We need to know that, and I think as part of my journey, if you like, the whole kind of realizing that God is bigger. Sharon, what are you laughing at?
We've got subtext going on.
Oh, right, okay. The whole thing about God being bigger. A while ago, and I've talked about this a little, before. There's a guy in the Bible who says to Jesus, "Lord, I believe, help me in my unbelief." You know? And he's a bit of a hero to me because it's like you can say to God, "God, I do believe in you, but actually I'm having a real problem believing in you. I need a bit of help here because I do feel that maybe, I don't know, I'm struggling with this." God is big enough to cope with our doubts and our feelings of despair and all of the muck that goes on in our lives. He's big enough to cope with that. And that's one of the things that over the years of knowing Adrian and Bridget, talking with them and going up to Scargill as well and having that place and being able to bring that back and being able to do something of that in the groups that we have and in the, in the friendships and all of that is really special. So maybe it's just something that we need to explore a bit. Being able to say dangerous things to each other. Being honest. When you read the Psalms, sorry, I'm really waffling, I know that. But when you read the Psalms go right from these heights, don't they? These heights of elation and celebration and thanksgiving right to the depths of despair, to darkness is my closest friend. And it's a journey, isn't it? And all of that honesty, all of that gut-wrenching reality of what it is to be human and to be trying to work out your relationship with God is so, so important. Okay, I'll shut up. So, Adrian, it's your go. This is Adrian, everybody. Just welcome him. I will say, sorry, I'm just going to say, Adrian should have been here this weekend with Bridget, and they've got a lot going on at home, and so do support Adrian and Bridget in your prayers. But it is really good to have you. Welcome, mate.
Thank you. That was a lovely introduction. No, it was. I was thinking when the bags were going round for the collection for me, or Andrew, as I like to be called. I remember when I was with my son David, I did something in Wales, and before the weekend was finished, they had a collection for me. So everybody stood in a circle while the bag went round, or a bucket, I think it was. And I had David, who was very small, standing next to me. Well, of course, when you're a Christian speaker, you're supposed to not care how much money people put in the bucket, aren't you? You're supposed to be thinking, no, whatever God gives. Well, David had none of those problems. David kept saying, "Dad, he's put 10 shillings. Dad, he's put £5 in. Dad, they've only put a few pence in." And I was saying, "Shut up, we don't care how much they put in." No, afterwards I said, we do really, but for goodness sake. By the way, the reason I'm sitting on a stool is because about 5 years ago I had a stroke, which is horrible, and it means I can't stand for very long nowadays. But as Bridget always says, there's always something funny in everything. And I was just thinking about the time when I'd had the stroke and I went to the hospital and the nurse said, we've got someone to help you answer all your questions. If you just go down that corridor there, it's the door on the left. Just knock on the door, go in, and he'll answer all your questions about your stroke. So I walked down the corridor, and I looked up at the door, and on the door it said, Mr. Wolf. From that moment onwards, there was only one question in my mind. I could hear my daughter asking it in my mind. Ask him, Dad. Go on, ask him. So we got through all the questions. I forgot everything I was going to ask. And at the end, he said, So, Mr. Plass, do you have any last questions? I said, yes, actually. And then I thought, I can't do this. Everything in me wanted to say, yes, actually, there is one question. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? But I didn't do it. So the whole thing was a total waste of time, except that it produces another story, which is not a waste of time. Anyway, I wanted to talk about love this morning. I know that's a very minor thing in the Christian church, but it's worth just mentioning. It's mentioned by Jesus a lot. I know he's only the Son of God, but it's worth just having a look at. I want to tell you two stories about my daughter, Kate. I mentioned last night that 30 years ago I had a breakdown, and Kate was born not long after... Am I going the right speed for you? Oh, good. Kate was born not long after I had the stroke. And a friend of mine who has a very good ear for God, as some people do and some people don't, said to me, your daughter is a sign of your healing. And so it's wonderful, isn't it? Every time I look at Kate's face, I see healing. And she has been an absolute joy. She really has. Anyway, lots of things happened with Kate. I remember being in a train with Kate when she was a baby. And as we went into a tunnel, all the lights disappeared. And she put her thumb into her mouth just as we went into the tunnel. And then she took her thumb out and looked at it in amazement, obviously thinking, I just put this in here and all the lights go out. And she tried to repeat the miracle all the way back from Brighton to Lewis without success. And I thought, many denominations are founded on less than that, aren't they? Someone has an apple fall on their head while they're praying and they start the church of the fifth fruit. And everyone has to chuck fruit around every Sunday. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I've learned a lot from her. But here's something about love. Right. One day, we went to our favorite cafe. This cafe, I don't know if you have cafes in Iran, but this cafe is the best. It is the best. The cake is wonderful. The coffee and tea were wonderful. It was wonderful. And then we went to the cafe one day with Kate when she was suffering from something very similar to projectile vomiting. Have you translated that? Yeah. Basically, it's bleh, and it's forceful. It's very forceful. And we thought we'd timed it well and that she wouldn't be sick. But we suddenly heard this subterranean rumbling going on inside her, and we knew it was coming. And sure enough, out it came. And the Plass children have always been very generous with the undigested contents of their stomachs. But this was something else, I can tell you. It was terrible. And the tables were very close together in this cafe. So the worst thing was, as she threw up, she turned towards her mother because she was upset. And so there was a sort of centrifugal outpouring of vomit, the like of which I have never seen. So we scraped the little green husk of our daughter off the chair and hurried out with her. And the manageress said, don't worry, you will come back. And we thought, oh, yes, after vomiting all over your cafe, we're not going to. But the lure of the cakes and the coffee and the tea was too great. We went back. And this time, she didn't throw up. As we left, we walked into the car park, and I was holding Kate like this. And I was so overwhelmed by the fact that our cafe was back and all was well that I did a little dance. And I stumbled, right? So I'm on my way down towards the tarmac with Kate held like this. In a minute, there's going to be a horrible squishing noise as Kate lands between me and the tarmac. So I said to Bridget, and I couldn't get my balance back. I was on my way down. So I said to Bridget, can you just go and get the Bible and leaf through and find some verses that will speak into this situation? And also, can you phone some people in the church and ask them to pray through to victory for us? Well, of course I didn't. I'm on the way down, aren't I? So what did I do? I did what any of you would have done if you were holding someone you loved. As I fell, I turned my body and I landed on my back and Kate landed on my chest. And so she was fine. But why would I do something like that? She would have been a very useful little cushion between me and the tarmac. Why would I not use her to protect me? Why didn't I care about myself? It's amazing. I always care about myself. I love her. I would rather be hurt than her be hurt. I would rather be hurt than her be hurt. And I suddenly realized that some of my worries about what I would do if there was persecution had a lot to do with that. Years ago, we used to read books by Richard Birnbrand, who was a Romanian pastor, who was tortured for 14 years. And I used to think, well, if the communists said to me, sign this to say you've become a communist or we'll kill you, I'd sign it. I'd say, yeah, bring the forms, bring the forms. But so I always worried about that. But I think my little incident with Kate made me realize that in the end, the thing that will make the difference when the crunch comes, when the moment comes, when things are really, really difficult, it won't be about how much of the Bible we know. It won't be about technical stuff. It will be about love. Because love is a force that turns 18 stone of middle-aged man in midair. It can do much more than that. So falling in love with Jesus is the beginning of safety as far as knowing what to do next is concerned. We won't always be saved. Rob was saying that. We go through very difficult times. But if you're talking about deciding what to do, it will be love that moves you. It will be love that moves you. So the other very little thing about Kate is, some years ago, we were in Peru. We went there to look at work done by Toy Box, which is a charity that works with street kids in Central America and South America. And after we'd gone, Kate said she would like to go, so she went for about 2 weeks or so. And during her time there, she wrote the only poem she's ever written. And I'll tell you how it came about, and I'll tell you what we thought, or she thought about it afterwards. The lady in charge brought in a little boy. He was a tiny boy, and his head was all bashed. He looked as though someone had really gone for his head and bashed it around. And his eyes were like little black points of fear. He was terrified. And the lady stood him in the sink, and she said to Kate, right, wash him, and gave Kate a hose with a thing on the end to wash him with. And he was just holding a little yellow lorry, this little boy. That's all he got. And Kate looked at this little boy, and this poem is about what she thought then. And in a moment, I'll tell you why it was so special. This is her poem. I don't know how to feel when I look at you. You're very small. Such big eyes for such a tiny person. I know you're scared of me. I'm a bit frightened of you, I think. A tiny little body standing here shivering in the sink. I don't want to touch you. You're so small. Please, feel safe. I'm nice, I promise. I watch you clutch your yellow car with a dirty little hand. I look at your bruised body and your poor misshapen head. I'm sorry. Things have been so horrible. Thank you for letting me wash you. The significance of it is that it was Kate's first poem, and it was very passionate. But the other thing is that the child was called Jesus, which of course is the Spanish for Jesus. And we all know the bit in Matthew about, if you've helped one of these little ones, you've helped me. And Kate suddenly realized, pungently and forever in her life, that when she helps somebody, she helps Jesus. So that little boy, isn't it sweet that he would probably say, I have nothing to give, but he gave my daughter a profound understanding of what it means to be a Christian and to love people. What I want to do finally, and I'm going to try to explain this so you understand. As I don't quite understand myself, I'll have to work really hard at this. We all know, or think we know, the bit of the Bible which is 1 Corinthians 13, don't we? It's all about love. And it's used a lot in weddings nowadays, in Christian weddings and non-Christian weddings, and it's all gone a bit gooey. We tend to be very sentimental about it, because it sounds so lovely and soft and wonderful and, yes, oh, that's us, that's us. It's actually a very tough piece of work because its demands are incredibly strong. It occurred to me recently that if God is love and the evidence is growing, then this is God in this passage. So I've turned it backwards, and I'm going to read it to you as if it's coming from God. So if you know 1 Corinthians 13 quite well, you'll recognize quite a lot of it. So it is an interpretation of 1 Corinthians 13, and if you spot any heresies, you may come and tell me afterwards. We will sort them out. So here is the heart of 1 Corinthians 13. You all talk with the tongues of mankind. And some of you speak with the tongues of angels. Both of those are wonderful. But whatever tongue you use, no matter how humble or how impressive, if you don't have love, you're nothing. You are only a resounding gong, just a clanging cymbal. Even if you have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and you have the kind of faith that can move and bring down mountains, even then if you don't have love, what are you? I'll tell you what you are. You're nothing. Nothing. Listen, if you were to give all you possess, all of it, sell all you've got, and give every single penny to the poor, and surrender your body to all sorts of grinding hardship so you can enjoy the respect and admiration of others, shall I tell you what you would gain? I will tell you. You would gain nothing. If you do all these things, you don't have love. You're wasting your time. You gain nothing. So what is love? I am love. Love comes from me. It returns to me. It lives in me. Love is never wasted. I am never wasted. I am love. I am patient. I can wait. I can work. I can live not without pain, but I can live with the grief and bewilderment of those who simply cannot see what lies at the end of the path they follow. I know that some of you are very, very disappointed in me sometimes. I understand. I am patient. You must learn patience. It's not easy, but for your own sake, you need it. I am kind. I truly am. I invented it. I care so much about each fascinating little nook and cranny in each and every human story. My kindness is less visible and evident than many would wish, but I overflow with kindness. I really do. I am kind. Try it for yourself. It can work wonders. I do not envy. All I want is for my dream to come true, all safely home. I'm not happy about anyone being lost. So I dream. I do not envy. Envy is hungry. It can consume your heart. By all means, don't hesitate to tell me what you want, but please work hard to be satisfied with what I am able to give you. I do not boast. I'm not proud. Who would I compare myself with? I created the universe. It would be utterly ridiculous for me to boast. Even so, I really do hope you enjoy some of the stuff I do. No, boasting would be ugly. Boasting is ugly. I do not boast and I am not proud. You, please be careful not to advertise your virtues and achievements. It is unattractive and it drains away like wastewater from the sink. I do not dishonor others. There are some who injure and even crush other folk in this way. A few use my name when they do it. They have nothing to do with me. I don't put people down. I never dishonor others, and nor should you. I'm not self-seeking. Ask the angels. Ask my son. Ask the men who nailed him to a cross. They're here with me now. I'm not self-seeking. Be the same. If you seek only for yourself, anything you gain will turn to ashes. And I really want you to know that I am not easily angered. Whatever small groups of cross people poring over Bibles might say, I am not easily angered. There is no pleasure in anger, not even and especially when it becomes necessary. Anger rarely helps. Kindness does. Patience does. Gentleness does. I can be angry. I really can. But I'm not easily angered. Ask me, and I promise I will help to guide your anger when you do need to show it. I keep no record of wrongs. I could do, if I wanted. I could, of course. I don't want to. You are all far better at doing that than I am. You know what? Open belief in the healing of a soul can be the most powerful of self-fulfilling prophecies. Do it. I will support you. I promise you I keep no record of wrongs. It can be very difficult for you, but try to do the same. I really do not delight in evil. I hate evil. I battle with evil. It threatens to destroy the people I love. Fight it with me. Fight evil with me. It can be difficult. I know that. But try to fight evil. Together we can attack and smash through the gates of hell. We can smash down the gates of hell. I rejoice with the truth. I am the truth. Try it. Try the truth. Open your mind. Taste freedom. There may be a slight bitterness at first, but in the end, it's sweet and it's very good for you. Behind the scenes, I always protect. You have no idea, each of you, how much I have protected you. I always trust. I always hope. I always persevere. Join me. I don't fail, but I'm afraid the road to success can be dark and difficult. Guess what that road can look like at the worst of times? I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks exactly like failure, like crucifixion. Try to trust me. Cheer up. I promise that one day things will be different. There'll be no need for prophecies. They will stop. Now there are all these tongues, then you won't hear them. At the moment you know a little, and you prophesy a little. When everything is worked out and completed, all the things you manage inadequately in this life will simply disappear. You won't need them. What a day that will be for all of us. Think about it like this. When you were a child, you talked like a child, you thought like a child, you reasoned like a child. When you become a man or a woman, you put the ways of childhood away from you. Or another way, for now you only see something that looks rather like a misty reflection in a mirror. But then, excitingly, you and I are going to see each other face to face. Imagine that. Suddenly you will know everything precisely as it is. So, there we are. Never forget the three most important things. One is faith. Please believe in me as much as you are able. I know that is not always easy. The second is hope. Eyes up, hold your nerve. I'm on your case. And the last, the most crucial one, you already know, of course, it's love. Without love, you are nothing. Without me, you are nothing. Take my hand, hang on, whatever happens. Remember that wherever and whenever you see genuine love in action, wherever or whenever you are looking at me, however others may label it. Come and be love with me. I need your help. I am love. Let's pray. Father, you must find it so difficult to feel such love and to find such difficulty in people's lives and see them hurting and see them sometimes moving out of that into the light and some back into the dark. And I don't know how you handle it. I don't know how you handle hundreds of thousands of, I don't know how you handle those people we heard about dying in those places where they're persecuted. Every single day, one long list of pain for you, painful things. I want to thank you for persisting, for continuing to love us in ways that we won't understand until we're face to face with you. I'm beginning to be really, really fond of you. Thank you for being in my life, and I pray to God from that, my heart of hearts, that the people who are sitting in this room today will come to an honest understanding and expression of their love for you. Not using religious words, but saying from a pool within them, I love him. If you must know, I love him. I thank you, Father, again, for loving us. And thank you for my wonderful daughter. What a gift that was. And finally, thank you for anybody who loves us, because most people here, I guess, will have one person they know who loves them. And if they haven't, give them somebody, Father, In Jesus' name, give them someone to love.